Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So in this video, of course, we're going to cover my farming results over the last 3 weeks. Now if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So for those who aren't part of the Reddit for Another Eden, make sure you join. There's actually a lot of information coming out about recent updates for Japan. And so first thing I want to note about grinding at this point is some people are asking what units you should grind for light or shadow. For those who are new to the game, that means you can actually do another dungeons, preferably very hard, but also hard as well. And they have a chance of dropping a light or shadow increase for your story characters. So in this case, this dungeon, for example, is for Clarte, but there are other dungeons as well. And so the main point I want to get to is that one of the recent updates will be that for Aldo, our main story character, he will have a chance where his upgraded version will, his damage will depend on the number of light that you have on him. And so obviously the max unit would be 255 light. And so for people of all types, whether or not you're new to the game or later in the end game, make sure you have Aldo to a very high light level. At this moment, I'm actually at 215. That gives me the second last breakdown for his stat increase. At certain points in the game, when you have enough light or shadow for a particular unit, you also get stat increases. And 215 is the second last one before the max one of 255. Anyways, you just saw I got a chant here, and of course chant scripts are extremely rare and very useful in upgrading your 4.5s that you get from gachas into those coveted 5-star units that have all those upgraded moves and additional power as well. Now right here in this section, we're in Nilva, which is in the future of the future area. And if you do unlock these robots in Nova, you actually have a chance to trade in different things. The one on the left actually can trade in badges, experience badges, other types of non-stat badges, and the guy on the right can actually change in badges that have those power, speed, all those ones you get from the end of dungeons. They do have a 0.5% chance or 1 in 200 chance of getting a chant script, and so if you're lucky enough and you have a bunch of these badges to spare, make sure you burn a few here. They take 10 at a time, and hopefully you get something really, really awesome. You also actually have a high chance, a very rare chance of getting a luring shadow or a guiding light item, which can be used on the unit of your choice. And there you have it. One chant script, nice and served up for us to use on a future 4.5 for 5-star units. Also, at the end of most very hard dungeons, there is a chance of getting treatises, of course, and there's a bunch of treatises that can be used for different upgrades to upgrade certain characters to their another style or AS forms. And so, unfortunately, it is RNG dependent. You can't choose which treatise drops in a particular dungeon, although most of them do have an equal chance of dropping any particular treatise, and obviously the most powerful units are the ones you want the most of. Shining Shadow Treatise, for example, is for AS Felmina. At this current point in the game, not super useful. However, hey, if you like her or you collect her, not bad way to upgrade. And so again, at this point, for anyone who's relatively new to the game or even in end game, you really want to be careful of how you upgrade your units. Choose which character you want to upgrade very carefully, because at the end of the day, these items such as treatises and chants don't come very often, or at least the ones you want. I do have a video in my Back to Basics playlist that discusses my thoughts and considerations when I do feel like upgrading. There's actually a lot of units I have not upgraded either from 4.5 to 5 or side graded from the regular 5-star unit to their AS unit. And so if you've been following along on my channel, I am very discerning and very careful about who to upgrade, only because I know that units future on will have upgrades or future side grades where we really want those units. Now in this case, you can see that at 50 light, you do have a breakdown where you get an extra 15 power on your unit. And so as long as you grind out the additional light points, in this case, future Guerrilla dungeon, you do have a chance of getting an extra light item or light point, shall I say, on Cerrine. And once she gets to 50, she'll have that additional 15 power, which is, hey, increases your damage overall when doing attacks. And so why wouldn't you do that, especially if you're gathering other things like treatises or chant scripts or just XP, anything you want in there. And so right there we have 50 light. And so we'll bring up the stats again. Her power has now been increased by 15. And we can see that the next breakdown is at 75 light, where you'll get an extra 300 HP. Hey, like I said earlier though, you should really be concentrating on Aldo at this point, in my opinion. I know that Cyrus has also gotten some significant boosts, as well as some of the other story characters. Gilna, for example, for Shadow is still a very viable unit. However, my current grinds is, for Cerrine, because I'm running Future Guerrilla anyways, and I'm alternating between grinding Shadow for Clarte, because he does have an AS form, for those who don't know, coming in Chapter 10 of the Mythos side episode after you finish it all. Japan has already recently finished it, we have not. But then once you get there, his AS form is free and extremely powerful, and so I'm going to have to get some extra stats by grinding out those Shadow items for him. For those who are in the mid-game, Garyu is an excellent choice to grind. Just for reference, my Garyu is at 215 Shadow or so, which gives it a lot of stat boost, and he's a perfect unit with his Manifest as a free unit to clear a lot of enemies, clear mobs. Also works really well in things like Magic Zone, with the likes of AS Rosetta, for example. But he is great and he does a lot of damage. You can see that I bring him along in dungeons all the time to clear mobs if I don't clear it with some other enemies, other units as well. So let me know in the comments below what you're working on. I know it doesn't matter if you're in the beginning, mid, or end game. We all have different goals, but the good thing about Eden is that the growth of an account is continuous. I mean, we get small amounts of Chronostones at times, but we get it every day. And then you can save it up and hopefully summon for something awesome. And you can either upgrade your roster that way through stones, or if you are grinding things out like myself, you have existing units that you need to upgrade through the chant and treatise system. So it's very, in my opinion, fairly free-to-play friendly. I know that at times, and especially recently, I've actually had a little bit of FOMO. FOMO is the fear of missing out. And what I mean by that is that, for example, I was just reflecting upon my grind and reflecting about my roster. I do have currently 130 different units. There are 15 units of that I have 0 forms of, okay? And for some units, I haven't upgraded them to the higher version. For example, I have a 4-star seal. And we all know the AS seal is amazing, helps with a lot of bow damage, top pierced unit, works really well, for example, with our newest unit, Milsha, and so on and so forth, AN's Foreign. The problem is that he was released, last August? So we're talking 8 months down the road, and I still haven't upgraded him to a 5-star. Now, not to say I can't, I actually have the materials to do so, and I may plan on doing that after these Whispers of Time, aka Sprinkles of Salt, are done. The reason for that is that, obviously, at the end of all that, you do get a random 5-star. I don't want to dupe up something that I actually either side-graded, that would be a waste of materials. And so after all that, I might do that. But at the end of the day, I'm looking back and saying, wow, 8 months to get a unit that someone who spent stones or spends real money actually can have right away. And so, there always is a little bit of FOMO there. And, after some consideration and talking with my other friends who play this game, we all understand that as a free-to-play, we're never going to have the newest units. We're never going to have the top teams at any time. However, the game is, friendly enough that with proper strategy, some grind obviously for things like Grasta to enhance your units, and careful planning when you're taking on bosses and super bosses, you should be able to take on most, if not all, of the current content available in the game. And so, to that extent, I have been successful in being able to fortunately beat most content in the game. And so, we have to accept, again, as free-to-plays that, that we're going to be behind for sure from other people. Most units, if you're grinding from 4.5 to a 5 or an AS, will take anywhere from 3 to 6 months or longer, because you have to grind all those treatises and chants. And by that time, sometimes the unit is still viable, sometimes the unit is not as viable. In the case of ASCL, I think he's still very, very good, and I'll probably do that. However, with other units, 6 months ago, for example, I'm thinking, for example, AS Shannon. AS Shannon came out around the same time as AS Seal. you can't say that she's absolutely necessary for Wind/Cerrine. I mean, we have AS Alulu, and you can actually fit in a slightly lesser unit and still do significant amount of damage. We have the free units Yuri, for example, and so on and so forth. So, you know, you're always fearing that as you buy those newest units, they become obsolete. And, you know, for us as free-to-plays or even light spenders, medium spenders, you really want to plan your spending. And so, you know, all those different guides that I do, should you summons, you know, considerations for this and that, they're partially to help all of you. And I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed those guides. On the other hand, it's almost for myself as a way, as an exercise to almost reflect upon my own goals or my friends' goals, because we talk about things a lot, and decide what's best moving forward. Because, you know, there are a lot of moving parts when it comes to this game. And in terms of, you know, so many changes, so many things, but, you know, at the end of the day, you can still, they never lock you out of being able to beat things unless, you know, you're very new to the game, where honestly, if you're new to the game, you're going to have to put in some time and effort to kind of catch them anyways, right? For myself as a day one player, you know, I've had a significant amount of time to kind of grind out things I need. Grass Chrono Stones to summon on things. And of course, we also have to thank RNG, being that, you know, I've been pretty fortunate with some of my pulls, although at times I have been unfortunate with others. AKA, you know, tons of Suzette dupes, tons of Meryl dupes, so on and so forth. That happens to the best of us. But, you know, moving forward, I still am very happy with this game. I love the game. Brings back a lot of memories from when I was younger, and I will continue to support the game by creating content, hopefully for your benefit as well as for my own, and, you know, to spread the word and hopefully help anyone who's having some difficulties beating some of the tougher content in the game. Oh, back to grinding Shadow. So you can see that at this point, I have 29 Shadow for Clarte, and I did not record it, but I did, by the time this video is uploaded for you guys, I will have beaten the 30 mark in, I did get a Shadow drop, you know, just a couple days ago. So he is at 30, he does get that extra int boost, and we're looking forward to the 50 mark, we'll have another stat boost. And so one other thing I will mention, again, for most newer players to the game, in Another Dungeon Very Hard, there are rare areas and common areas. In this case, this is the third area of the Antiquity Zebriah, which not all of you have access to unless you've finished Chapter 6 of Mythos. And this one is called the Sanctuary, whereas the common version is called the Limestone Caverns. And so when you see this, you know that at this point, you have a potentially a 5% chance or a 1 in 20 of getting a chance script like that. Or, to be fair, the rare areas do show up about 10% of the time, or one rare area every 10 runs, and sections 2 and 3 both contain rare areas and both have a chance of getting a chance script if you do have one of those rare areas show up. So I'm always a little bit excited when I do see something like Sanctuary, or in the case of the second area, I believe the second area for this one is called Unexplored Area. I'm always a little excited, hoping against hope to get one of those rare chants and add them to the stockpile for future uses. And if you're wondering what I'm still working on getting a couple more 3DCs for Remature, which is for AS Rosetta, as well as a couple more for Sarah Shina Hime, which is for Sukiya. Otherwise, as these lesser 3DCs drop, I can use them to create VC grasses for some of my older units, or just leave them in a pile for if I ever decide to use them. For example, ES Melina, I'm not planning to upgrade. I'm planning to upgrade or side grade to ES Melina in a few months when she becomes available. And of course, grind out tons and tons of those new books or whatever you need to eventually get her. So I already resigned myself to the fact I won't have her right away. And I'm going to have to wait a number of months. And that's okay, because, you know, gotta save those stones, being that they're so rare in the end game, and use them to summon on banners where I don't have any form of the unit. And that's definitely one of the highest considerations for me to summon. I try not to summon at any banner which I already own in an existing form, because the grind in Another Eden is one way to conserve stones and use the existing chance and treaty system in order to side grade and upgrade units, instead of having to use, you know, 3,000 to 5,000 stones or a lucky 10 pull in order to get that. I am very happy with the 4th anniversary of Another Eden Global, in that, well, Japan, in that we get those in Global as well. All those rewards, 100 stones for a month, plus all those video recordings and you know, video ads and stuff like that. We get 10 Whispers, a free guaranteed 5-star. At Chapter 7, we also got a free you know, Shadow 5-star unit. awesome, awesome, awesome. So we're approaching the end of this video, and thank you for those who are continuing to watch. I know it's a little bit longer, and I'm rambling and talking about a number of different topics while I am gathering, you know, all these treatises and things. And you can see that this is the very first drop for my tome for beloved Milsha, and working towards her VC Grasta eventually. And there's my second one, and of course we have a Hypnosis treatise, of which I still haven't side graded AS Mighty, although he is a very good water mage DPS. Still have to you know, put him off for a little bit longer until I see where I'm at in the next few weeks. He does have an actually manifest, so he is pretty good in that sense. This one is a little bit more exciting. Cybele treatise. So this is my 5th one. I will be able to make a VC Grasta, and AS Myers, when she comes in, she actually does 2 to 4 hits as well as earth resistance down. With the upgraded Grasta, now you do 3 to 5 hits, so an additional hit or so, which is very cool for VC to do some damage and build your bar that way. And finally, we're back at Miglin's Castle grinding some Aldolite, and you can see that we finally got another Starlight treatise. AS Iska's manifest has been out in Japan. I'm not sure if I'm going to side grade my 4-star Iska to that. However, we can figure it out when we get there. And there's another Sunrise treatise. AS Xian, still not on my list for side grading. However, hey, he's still got a big fan following. I hope they buff him in the future, because some of those older 5-star units just aren't as explosive and as awesome as before. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.